Synergetic Journal videos, my individual continuous non-political manifesto. May 18 through May 21st, 2026. Wisely referring to vector equilibrium's zero starting point. The closest approach to eternity in God, Part 20. Christina Herlofson's ongoing research project, Part 1. Every individual human personality in one form or another plays its part, contributing its particular type of behavior to the whole WHOLE nations of humanity, including inhumanities. Inhumanity is cruel and brutal behavior. Humanity is defined as the condition of being human, showing compassion or benevolence. Never be beholden to any human culture, especially when the customs of it can be traced back to one or more forms of inhumanity, treating populations as the masses that are born to be controlled under the muddled-minded authorities as their subjects, with cruelly punitory indifference. Punitory indifference breeds contempt and permits forms of fear-engendering in order to get its irrational points of view, its beliefs, across to the subjects under its control, as if such a manifest punitory condition in any way, shape, or form is humane, but under misguiding directives as rules and laws become acceptable, adapting to the J factor that politically permits repositioning the human species in a self-perpetuating no-win complexity that invariably relies on the M and W factors of the P, R, J, M, W, B, S, H, M to play its part while accepting, rejecting, expecting, anticipating the R factor as the bona fide benevolent aspects in the relatively complex reenacting human predicaments. C. Song. Accepting, Expecting, Anticipating by Christina Herlofson. Comprised as the totality of a manifest species, the human species in its variously cultivated local environmental human conditions constitute the reenacting tolerance magnitudes of the residual inaccuracies of observations and articulations that are happening on the world stage. The tolerance magnitudes perpetually increase as residual inaccuracies of observation and articulation, when instead humans of a mind ought to diligently focus their innate intelligence on reducing the tolerance magnitudes of the reenacting articulations and observations. Doing so require differently referenced information resources from other than the inherited P, R, J, M, W, B, S, H, M, a womb of permitted ignorance that perpetuates the slave mentality conditioning in every culture, thereby customizing its particular manifest form with approximately no insight into how and why the slave mentality was set into motion, or that this alien survival mechanism has devised niches of education ignorance, permitting its relative mindlessness to sidestep, override, dismiss, prevent natural accreditation to the metaphysical intellect. In one form of alienating default education strategies, the ignorance not only denies metaphysical intellect's integral mind, which the integral human brain requires in order to evolve out of self-other defeating behavior. However, self-other defeating behavior continues making adaptable niches within which self-alienation increases within increasingly adaptable new growing cycles that strikes agreeable chords with emulative aspects of the irrationally designed human protocols. Humans do not always realize this ongoing phenomenon as an as yet unresolved solvable problem. They assume their governmental protocols come before what naturally precedes everything that is happening or can happen, which in generalized principle is the vector equilibrium nucleus of the isotopic vector matrix, zero starting point for happenings or non-happenings. The non-happenings are always potential and usually are overlooked as clear and dangerous possibilities. If only thus and so had occurred instead. If only it was known. This causes unpredictable quagmires of bewilderment pertaining to what could have been done instead had such outcomes been known. Forewarning, the information gathering local problem solvers vast responsibilities. In truth, a local problem solver cannot solve all naturally occurring environmental behaviors. Cosmic, logically, metaphysical intellect is caught in a seemingly inescapable bind until the individual human mind brain admits its metaphysical intellect is designed in principle as a function of omni-rational universe. This is especially troublesome, since human nature is not ordinarily considered exactly the same as Mother Nature's control over non-human environmental conditions. Environmental conditions, as it turns out, extend into the cosmos, which humans typically do not think of Mother Nature's territory, but which the astrological physicists nonetheless study cosmologically. The human species, which have been inadequately identified by forensic anthropologists as humans of a mind, are more than this identification, which omni-rationally more accurately identifies our species as metaphysical, closer related to the metaphysics of cosmology that naturally requires our cosmic to local problem-solving propensities to start with universe as a scenario universe that acknowledges macroscopic systems of universe, not solely according to any manifest form, despite the hyped up hallelujahs promoted by the R factor as the holy grail beyond any stopgap generated by the P factors, questionable J factors, profit-motivated top-heavy exploitations. Typically, in the course of human events, people make no discernible connection to any anticipatory design science omni-rational solution, but as a general rule, refer problem and solutions to the P, R, J, M, W, B, S, H, M factors that omit by default education stratagems throughout communicating information systems, the essential synergetically derived generalized content from consciously coordinated thought languages awareness of UIVMOFCH, universe, isotopic vector matrix, operational field, cosmic hierarchy. In principle, consciously coordinated thought language can be referential to vector equilibrium as a zero starting point for happenings and non-happenings, which correlates with reducing the tolerance magnitudes of the residual inaccuracies of observation and articulation that otherwise seem inconceivable to accomplish by humans of variously accredited levels of education. Synergetics 503.03. Such an omni-rational solution initially could seem overwhelming at every level of education, especially if the personality's psyche is entrenched in false premised assumptions at the reenacting outset that omitted by default inherited customs in cultures that induced indoctrinated followers of all ages to believe the messengers by primarily relying on its theological concepts. Theology, according to most dictionaries, is the study of God and religious belief, when systematically developed, which clearly implicates educators and the educated as observers observers and articulations in a type of system. But it is not an eternal generalized principle structural system in its own right of metaphysical physical universe. Universe equal MP. Consequently, the information gathering, information importing, exporting imagination's faculty of thought might not cognize and recognize the word eon. U-E-O-M. Universe eternal, omniscient mind, which happens to be my more accurate replacement for the sound word God spoken or written in any language anywhere on earth. Cosmic logically, it is wiser to acknowledge the vector equilibrium as a zero starting point for happenings and non-happenings than persistently adjusting the a priori thought to manifest realities. PRJMWBSHM, politics, religion, justice, military, war, belief system, hierarchical matrix. Not only because the tediously reenacting, time diverting from the central symmetry through which both balanced and unbalanced asymmetries pulsatingly synchronize, as the asymmetries also complexly intercompensate, does not guarantee more omnirationally tuned in systemic receptivity will occur in the human condition than the predominantly tuned out receptivity. Out of reaches also go reciprocating hope for clarifying results that could be better served by every always partially overlapping generation in the evolving human condition, staying on the synergetic course, mindful of the vector equilibrium. It goes beyond appeasing any number of people some of the time and not appeasing all the people all of the time. Synergetic course abounds with Arbutminster Fuller's copious studied models in his lifetime, clarifying integrals of extensively measured and mensurated interrelationships between points of discernment, differentiating the physical from the metaphysical as intellect's curiosity concerned evolving explanations, illustrations, geometrical, topological models, including closest packed balls and spheres, equiradius spheres, for anyone's referential writing project with my own experience as a realizing example. Besides, and from all indications, no one else seems to be focused thus, and if so, they have not made their omnirational anticipatory design science objectives publicly known from every online communication, or their approach was not well received, therefore they did not continue the objective. See Vector Equilibrium on YouTube, ThriveMovement.com, 9 years ago. Most humans these days depend on the internet as an information resource, as do I. Valuing my research in progress. The stored information from the internet at minimum requires a computer with internet access and ample storage for audio, video, word processing files, as well as personal photos and downloaded files. The problem with the internet is lack of security, whether accessed by various types of computers, desktops, laptops, and also mobile cell phone devices, with no guarantee all of it won't be swept away by some hacking system for covertly operating reasons that seem to have the power to do so, despite installing variously marketed security devices. Apparently, there are no guaranteed security systems, because any of them can fail without notice, especially when storage is filled almost to capacity and more external hard drives are used that the security system does not automatically scan, which defeats the purpose of promising to block malware in real time. Strangely enough, whatever humans try to accomplish through TEUCP, the Evolving Universal Communication Process, is uniquely individual, but in common is a universal quest to improve something or other, change things for the better, correlative to freedom, but not fully grasping what freedom is, and also questioning if their input into the prevailing authoritative system has any worth as a contribution to such anticipatory realities that that failed to manifest the best intentions where TLBSWME essential factors remain unknown, and whether knowing this acronym stands for truth, love, beauty, symmetry, wisdom, maximum economy. Until next time, thank you. Gratefully, faithfully, eternally, Christina Herlofson. Contact herlofsoncristina@gmail.com. To be continued in part 2.